You may not even know it's there. It's in the air. And every year, people who work in it are killed or lose work due to illness. It's toxic air. It's hazardous atmospheres. To protect themselves, millions of people wear respirators where they work. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, has rules about hazardous atmospheres to protect you at work. One such regulation is the Respiratory Protection Standard, which was updated and applied to general industry, construction, shipyard, longshoring, and marine terminal workplaces. This program covers parts of the revised Respiratory Protection Standard, including your employer's written respiratory protection program and program administrator, respirator selection, medical evaluation and fit testing, proper use and limitations, emergency use, inspection, seal check, disinfecting, and storage. If the atmosphere where you work contains hazardous contaminants or is oxygen deficient, your employer tries to protect you by using engineering controls. When engineering controls are being installed, or if these controls are not feasible, you'll receive the appropriate respirator to protect you from the atmosphere. Your employer's written procedures and worksite-specific plan are designed to protect employees working in the hazardous atmosphere. The plan describes the hazard, respirator selection, and how you use a respirator. This written program and plan are updated as necessary to reflect changes affecting respirator use. Your employer selects a respiratory protection program administrator who implements the program and conducts evaluations of program effectiveness. The type of hazards you and your coworkers are exposed to on the job drives your employer's respirator selection process. Basically, atmospheric hazards are oxygen deficiency and contaminants in the ambient air you breathe. Atmospheres that contain less than 19.5% oxygen are considered immediately dangerous to life or health, IDLH. An atmosphere is considered IDLH if it could cause an immediate threat to life, irreversible adverse health effects, or would impair your ability to escape. In IDLH atmospheres, only certain full-face piece, pressure-demand, atmosphere-supplying respirators may be used. These respirators supply breathing air from a source other than ambient air. The supplied air respirator receives breathing air through an air line attached to a source not worn by the user, such as a compressed air tank or compressor. An airline compressor provides an unlimited supply of air, but must be protected from hose cutting or crimping, as well as loss of electrical power to the compressor. If you wear a supplied air respirator in an IDLH atmosphere, it must have an escape unit in case of air loss. The self-contained breathing apparatus provides breathing air from tanks you carry. SCBA tanks are usually rated in half hours, so to work in a known IDLH atmosphere, the tank must provide at least 30 minutes of breathable air. In non-IDLH atmospheres, air purifying respirators may provide adequate protection. These respirators are equipped with an air purifying filter, cartridge, or canister that removes specific air contaminants by passing ambient air through the air purifying element. Always use the proper purifying element for the hazard you face. You'll know when to change out a cartridge or canister if your respirator has a NIOSH-certified end-of-service life indicator, or from your employer's change-out schedule, which is part of the written respirator plan. Other criteria your employer may use to choose the right respirator for the job are worksite temperature, humidity, your mobility, the service life of the particular respirators, communication factors, and machinery movement. Once hazards are evaluated, the proper respirator is selected. All devices, as well as their replacement cartridges, must be NIOSH certified and used appropriately. Never substitute or mix respirator components, such as cartridges, valves, or gaskets. or allow them to be substituted with parts made by another manufacturer not listed on certification documents. Be familiar with and follow equipment limitations. Your facility program outlines proper use of respirators. You'll learn how to prevent respirator seal leakage, how to ensure continued respirator effectiveness, and use of respirators in IDLH atmospheres. Most facilities require respirator wearers to be clean-shaven. When wearing a tight-fitting respirator, maintain a proper facepiece seal by keeping hair, even stubble, from between the respirator and your face, and from valve functions. Corrective lenses can also affect a tight-fitting facepiece seal. Contact lenses are permitted with respirators, or your employer may choose to mount corrective lenses inside the facepiece by using a special adapter. When respirator use is not required by results of the hazard evaluation, but you want to use a respirator, you are covered by voluntary use rules. An example of voluntary use is choosing to use a dust mask when performing dusty tasks such as sweeping or working outdoors during allergy season. Using a respirator on a voluntary basis, however, could pose health hazards for you. For that reason, your employer will see that you follow the manufacturer's instruction for respirator use, maintenance, cleaning, and care. You will be prevented from using the wrong respirator in a potentially hazardous atmosphere. Wearing a respirator may adversely affect some workers. That's why you'll have a medical evaluation to make sure you can tolerate the gear. This evaluation must be offered to anyone required to wear a respirator or who requests to wear one, except for filtering face pieces worn voluntarily. The evaluation takes place before fit testing and then periodically for as long as you wear a respirator on the job. A medical evaluation may or may not include a medical examination, but it will always involve filling out a medical questionnaire. Your employer and supervisor will not see your answers, but you can request the chance to discuss them with the medical professional selected by your employer. A physician or other licensed healthcare professional reviews your responses and may require follow-up to be sure that it is safe for you to wear a respirator. The healthcare professional who evaluates your questionnaire provides you and your employer with a written recommendation about your ability to use a respirator. The healthcare professional decides how often to reevaluate each employee based on initial evaluation, work stress, types of respirators, as well as other factors. Additional medical evaluations will be performed if you develop any medical signs or symptoms related to your ability to wear a respirator, or if your supervisor or respirator administrator deems it necessary. Reevaluation is also required if fit testing or other program evaluation activities suggest a need. In some cases, your employer will make a powered air purifying respirator, PAPR, available if the healthcare professional determines you can't safely wear a negative pressure respirator. After medical evaluation, you'll be fit tested to ensure your respirator provides a protective seal. Since facial shapes and sizes vary as much as individual comfort levels do, a good assortment of respirator face pieces is important. Your safety depends on a tight seal, and the more comfortable you are wearing your respirator, the more motivated you'll be to use it. Two basic types of fit testing may be used. In the qualitative fit test, the wearer decides whether the test agent is noticeable in the facepiece. In the quantitative fit test, a numerical measure is made to assess how much of the test agent enters the mask. Before you actually depend on your respirator for protection from a hazardous atmosphere, you must inspect it. Check your respirator function, tightness of connections, and condition of all its parts. Look for damage to the facepiece, head straps, valves, connecting tube, cartridges, canisters, filters, and any other parts. Next, see that the facepiece is pliable and not deteriorated. This inspection, plus inspection of breathing air tanks and compressors, must be made before each use. Before you enter a hazardous atmosphere, you must also perform a user seal check. The simple test helps you evaluate